Today, let's start off with implementing some Dynamo snippets. So to start with, as we know, Dynamo is a AWS service and it's available from the AWS CLI as well. So instead of setting up from your AWS account, let's start with using Docker, where you can use DynamoDB on your local instance. So this would help you not to involve your AWS costing or use your AWS resources for the start of your project. So let's start off and see how we can set up DynamoDB on our local. So I'll create a file as dockercompose.yml. So this will contain my setup to set up the Docker container for DynamoDB. So the code for DynamoDB Docker Compose would look like just a small snippets. So we need the services. The service we'll name the service as DynamoDB Local. Now we need the image. So let's pick up the image from DynamoDB Docker image. So this should give me the link to the image. I have Amazon's DynamoDB Local. The image is Amazon DynamoDB Local. So let me pick this up and paste it here. We need to give the latest version if we are not specifying any particular version. So let's name the container as DynamoDB Local. Nothing new. So we need the port to run on 8000 colon 8000. So the invert port, it would be exposed on port number 8000. So we have our Docker Compose ready. So let's go and run this. Let me clear the console. Let's go to our project. So let's run. I have already Docker running on my system. I hope anyone watching this video knows how to run the Docker and how, if not, maybe down the line I'll create a video or leave some links in the document to set up Docker on your system. So meanwhile, we can, since I have it running on my system, so I'll just do Docker Compose app. So this will get additional property ports. Oh, sorry, I gave the wrong keyword. So it should be ports and it should be good to go. Let's try it once more. Must be a list. My bad. I was wondering whether this could work for me or not. So in list works like this. So let's go back to a terminal. Try it once more. Docker. So I have a Docker DynamoDB Docker running a DynamoDB container. So to verify this, we can go to our Docker containers. So if you see, this is running a YT Dynamo, which has this DynamoDB container and this particular ID running on port 8000. Now we have a container running on our Docker, which is using DynamoDB Local provided by AWS. So let's try and build something on top of it using that container itself. So to give an example, let's use the AWS CLI to create the table. So to create a table using CLI, In DynamoDB, the command is AWS DynamoDB create table, create dash table. Let's go to the next line. This backward slash helps me to go to the next line. So I need to specify the table name. It is given as table dash name. It is cars for me, and let's go to the next line. Now we need to specify the attribute definitions. Next line. For attributes, I need to specify two things. One is the attribute name. The first attribute I would use is make, and its type would be attribute type as string. The second attribute that I would use is make, that would hold the year of production. Sorry, the model. It would hold the year of production of that car. Attribute type number slash. Next line. Now I need to specify the key schema. So for key schema, again, I need to provide the attribute name and the key type. The key type can be either of hash or range. So attribute name is make for me. Key type for this would be hash. So this should serve me as the partition primary key as a part of the primary key. Next we had model. So model would serve as my sort key. Key type as range. Since we are connecting to the local, we are not connecting to the AWS console. So we need to specify the end URL. Why did it? My bad. Let me specify the endpoint URL. That would be http:// localhost 8000. Okay. I need to provide the provision throughput specified for the table. So let's do that as well. So let it be billing mode. Pay per request. So I have the throughput done. So now if I want to see the tables, I would DynamoDB list tables minus endpoint URL as http localhost 1000. So I have one table, that is cars. So that is how, if you set up the DynamoDB on your local, this is how you can access it, and you can create a table. So this was using the CLI. Going down, I would use Node.js to connect to this particular container and run and show how we can do some type of CRUD operations. Okay, thank you.